Welcome back, guys. Thanks for joining me for another one. Hope you're all well. As you can tell, still in Carnarvon. So finished work today, went for a couple of pints, had me tea, and on the way back I felt a little bit peckish, so I popped into B&M for some nibblies, which I got. But I also thought, while I'm in there, let's have a look at the beer that they've got. So I picked up four different beers. It was five beers, but I picked up four different ones, and only because one of the beers was actually small, so I picked up two bottles of that. So when I do review it, I'll have a full pint. But what I'm doing now is going to take a look at one of them, and it's a brewery I've not heard of, and it doesn't actually say the name of the brewery, if you like. It's just called that name. It doesn't say brewery after it or anything, so I'm not really sure what the crack is. But they're out of Liverpool, and what we've got is a beer from Higsons. So it's gonna. Oh, there we are. It does say it on the front. Higsons Brewery, and it's a brown ale. Now I do like a brown ale. I've never heard of them before. They're out of Liverpool. There you go. Nice artwork. I do like that. It's kind of plain. 3.4%, 500ml bottle, and this come in at £1.39. What am I expecting from it? B&M, Home Bargains, all them sort of beers, when they're cheap, they're kind of hit and miss. Sometimes you find some hidden gems. So hopefully this is going to be one of them. I suppose you could say 3.4% for this style of beer is sort of average. It's sort of what you expect. So yeah, lovely artwork. There we go. Plain crown on the back. It says a classic northern brown ale, dark in colour and low in bitterness. The malt and nutty flavours are to the fore, so basically at the forefront. So it's going to be malty and nutty at the front, with a slight clove and lightly bitter finish from the first gold and Golding's British hops. A very drinkable brown ale. Colour 45 EBC, not sure what that is, but that's clearly some kind of rating of colour, and the IBUs are 15. So there we go. There's the bottle. I do love that label. I love their branding. Got the old liver bird on the front. Glass is in waiting, so we'll get the old bottle opener and we'll give this a try. £1.39. I suppose we've got to expect it to be pretty average, but hopefully it will be all right. So yeah, let's get it into the glass. Now, it's not particularly cold, but then you wouldn't expect it particularly cold for this style of beer. It's looking very decent at the moment. Chestnut, mahogany kind of look, you could say. A little bit left in the bottle. I'm going to leave it there. It's not the greatest glass, to be honest, but beer in a glass. A lovely sort of chestnut colour, slightly sort of hazy, it looks to me, and just over half a finger of sort of tan head that's sort of going in on itself very quickly, which is, you can pretty much say, typical of the style. It's actually gone, I think, since I swirled it, but the glass will not be the cleanest because I'm away, so it's not getting properly scrubbed and cleaned. So without further ado, let's dive in, give it a sniff. You get a little bit of hop. It's not massively punching you on the nose, but yeah, malty, lightly hoppy. There is a nutty sort of toffee kind of note in there as well. Not punching you in the face, but it smells pleasant. It's got to be said, it smells pleasant. So would it be better in a nice clean glass? Quite possibly. Or a better glass. I mean, when you look at it like that, it looks very inviting. So without further ado, let's dive in on Higsons Brewery and their brown ale, coming in at 3.4%. It's a session drinker, isn't it? Cheers. For £1.39, what do you expect? You're not going to expect the best beer. But saying that, it's certainly not the worst beer I've had. £1.39 for a 500ml bottle. And Home Bargain's going to be making on that. The bloke's got to be making on that. It's got to be bottled everything. It's actually not that bad. Right. The downsides to it for me, it is very thin. It is very thin. Maybe not as thin as I thought it was to start off with. But it is light, but it is 3.4. So I'm not going to slate it there. Carbonation is quite busy. But again, it's light. Lighter beers certainly tend to be more carbonated from my point of view. And the carbonation will always show up in a lighter beer because the body is lighter. So again, on that side of things, it's not so bad that I want to rip it a new arsehole. The mouthfeel isn't terrible. I've certainly had beers that are worse. It's pretty smooth, in all fairness. Again, we're going back to the sort of ABV and the style of the beer. It is quite smooth. You certainly get the hoppy flavour in there. It says it's all malt and nuttiness with a slight bitterness. Or yeah, low in bitterness. I think it's not massively bitter, to be fair, but I don't think the bitterness is as light as they say, nor is the maltiness or nuttiness there as much as they say. Malty, hoppy, you definitely get that little prickly hoppy bite to it, I would say. 3.4%. Taste wise, there is a bit of flavour in there for 3.4%, it's got to be said. And as they say, malty. I do think you get that little hint of toffee caramel. I'm not really getting the nuttiness in there for me. I think there are things with this, and it's going to depend on your own personal taste, I guess. It's not as malty as they maybe make out on the bottle. I think it's more hoppy and probably a bit more bitter than I was expecting. I don't get any nuttiness myself. I'm not really getting that nuttiness. But I've got to say, look at the price of this beer. Look at the price of it. You're not getting a big ABV beer. You're not paying a big price, but you are getting a big bottle. You're not getting a particularly nasty beer with this. And you're definitely not getting a fantastic sort of brown ale. I'm not quite sure it really hits the brown ale flavour. I think it is missing that nuttiness for me. It's sort of got that dark side of a brown ale, if you get what I mean, the malty dark side. But it sort of has the hoppiness and maybe a little toffee caramel note of a bitter, if you like. Saying that, it's rather enjoyable. It hasn't cost me a lot of money, and I seriously think if you're on a bit of a budget, I think that is perfectly respectable, especially if you're someone that likes to sit down and you don't like them heavy sort of beers. I think for what this is, this does the job. So there you go. For me, Higsons Brewery out of Liverpool, and their brown ale, £1.39 from B&M, or was it Home Bargains? B&M? Home Bar? I can't think. Carnarvon. It's not bad. It's not bad. I mean, that's perfectly drinkable. It's not going to blow your mind, but it's definitely worth a try. Don't expect anything massively heavy. Expect what you expect from this beer, and you might actually find it's not as bad as you think. So there you go. They're Higsons, yes, Higsons. There you go. There's my thoughts on this beer. If you've had it before, let me know what you think. Feel free to comment. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you again soon on another one. Cheers.